that they're good and still execute at such a high level? Like, it seems like these guys know how good they are, but they still can go out there and get it done, improve it.
Well, being productive helps you as a player gain confidence, and I think that going into the season, I thought we had a solid training camp, and there were still so many unknowns about our defense going into the first ball game. Now, we played very good complementary football against Oregon. I mean, offensively, it was 28-0 after 4 possessions, and that allowed us, in my opinion, to grow ourselves defensively with our young players. And those guys were able to gain some confidence with a 28-0 lead to be able to, we had some mistakes here and there that maybe were covered up by the score. And in time, we gained a lot more confidence as the season continued to grow.
Do you think that game was just as important as anything you guys did in training camp as far as instilling some confidence in young guys?
Well, I think that, going against our offense, I think our guys identify that we're pretty good offensively. And so we had some success in training camp, not so much in spring ball, but in fall camp. And I think our guys gained confidence knowing that we had a really talented offense. And probably, on game day, we're going to face a whole lot better than what we face every day in practice. And our guys understand that. But I think that us getting out in that game offensively helped us so much defensively, being able to grow into our roles a little bit because it changed the game so quickly.
You guys are constantly talking, coaches are, about growing and learning. And I just want to ask you, you're the veteran coach to work with a younger coach like Coach Schumann so closely the last couple of years. What have you learned from him?
Oh, a lot. I mean, Glenn is always Glenn, number one, is extremely bright, but number two, he has a tremendous work ethic, and he's always trying to find a better way. Philosophically, we're never going to change on defense as far as defending the middle of the field, as far as defending the run. How we defend it may change based on who we have. We're a different defense schematically than we were a year ago. Are there some carryover as far as what we do? Sure. There's going to be carryover every year, but I think that starting with Coach Smart and Glenn and our defensive staff after spring, we really identified what our guys do best. So it's not just saying, well, this is what we do defensively at Georgia, schematically, because that may not have been best of what Smile Munden and Pop can do, as opposed to what Nakobe and Quay could do. So we have adapted and adjusted some things that we do in order to fit our players and what we do. Philosophically, not getting away from anything that we normally do and what the expectation is at Georgia, but schematically, there's been some tweaks and some changes, and I attribute a lot of that to Glenn.
Well, one of the key matchups is the interior defensive line, which obviously is a huge strength. It's Ohio State's interior, their offensive line. What do you see of that matchup? What kind of strikes you when you think about that?
Well, I think that, Paris Johnson's a first-round pick. He's maybe a top-5 pick. He's a great athlete. He's got length, athleticism on the edge, a lot of snaps at right tackle with Jones. He's a very big man, and I think that there's a lot of snaps in the interior offensive line for them. So that's going to be being able to control the front. Obviously, in every game's a big key, and we need to be able to pressure with 4. And that's something that going in the game, that's something I think is going to be important for us.
What makes your interior line so good? Obviously, you have Carter.
Well, we have some talented players, but we also have depth. And there's nothing more exerting than rushing the passer as a player. There's nothing more tiring than rushing the passer. And Trey and we're able to roll so many guys that play in there, and whether it's sliding Michael inside or whatever we're doing in our packages based on our personnel. So again, I think that being able to play that many guys inside certainly helps us.
Did you know a year ago that you would be able to sit here today after everybody you lost in the draft and talk about depth as being a strength?
Well, that's the expectation of Georgia. We recruited well. We have good players. I think we do a really good job of developing our players. Our players have a tremendous buy-in to what we do defensively. So there's not a lot of selling as part of what we're doing schematically. It's a huge buy-in, which that's a big part of it, in my opinion.
You go back a long way with Kirby.
Yeah.
If it's possible to escape the shadow of Nick Saban, what do you think it means to him to be?
I don't think Coach spends a lot of time thinking about that. I'll be honest with you. He's worried about this the University of Georgia and our football team and the things that he can control.
You've been a defender.
Right. Catch radius. The guy's got balanced body control. I don't know that it's a 50-50 ball. It might be a 70-30 ball with him. But really talented. And really three receivers, Abuke and Fleming as well. You got three guys. Fleming can take the top off the coverage very fast on the top end. But all three guys are really talented players. I would say ball skills too. I mean, and all guys they're 6'2" plus. They're all 200 pounds plus. They look like outside backers on tape, but they can run. But they're really talented. That's the thing. The skill outside jumps out at you on the tape. But good football players with a very accurate quarterback. So they're very good offensively.
You've been a DC for a few years now, and this is Glenn's first time. Where do you feel like you've been able to help him out in that role? But also, too, how's he helped you?
I don't know that I've helped Glenn a lot. Glenn's very smart, great work ethic like I talked about. But I think we have a very good rapport with each other, and we're very honest in what we like and what we don't like, and we have very good conversations. We put our egos on the shelf, and it's all about winning, number one, and playing good defense, number two.
Obviously, you spent a ton of hands-on time with Malachi since he got on campus. Mm-hmm. How much have you seen him grow since the spring, and how important has that growth been for y'all's
tremendous
overall success?
You take day one of spring, like I said in the other room, there was a lot of firsts for him because think about it, at Jefferson County, he was an option quarterback. He played defensive back, but that's 50-50. So a lot of those things that we talk about as far as leveraging the ball, backpedaling, leveraging a receiver, eye control. I mean, there was a lot of first involved with that. That was not in his DNA necessarily. Now he's got a lot in his DNA that's really good. So he overcomes coaching a good bit too. So, but a really talented guy. He's got tremendous ball skills down the field, like most offensive players do. Can finish on the ball, which he showed against Oregon. I think a guy that's very humble and very coachable. And it's really important to him. And when he takes things in coaching very well, I mean, he understands it. And this is what I got to do to improve and get better. And again, he improved from day one of spring. Coming out of the summer was huge for him. And I told him, I said, we got to make tremendous strides this summer. And a lot of it's got to be on you by NCAA rules because I can't be as involved as I need to be. And he understood that and made tremendous strides in training camp and has grown each week. And he's had some wonderful, situations, and he's had some tough moments, had some, a couple tough plays. But he's grown from them all, and he's been coachable in all situations, and that's all you can ask for.
Will, what's the formula for you guys to be as physical as you are, but also to be able to withstand, playing 15 games, which is pretty massive?
Well, it's, a lot of that I credit Coach Smart and how we practice. I mean, we practice the right way. Today's Bloody Tuesday, and we're going to get after it. I mean, now our guys understand that. They understand in order for us to be successful in our league, that's what you have to do. And that comes with winning, because when you prove that you're winning on Saturday, it's easy to buy into a very physical mentality. They understand that that's what it's going to take. And you can ask all of our players. It's not, player talk or coach talk. It's real, and that's what our guys believe. But I do think it's a balance, and I think that's something Coach does a really good job of managing fatigue, where we are with our team. Obviously, the catapult systems we lean on a lot to look at player load and those sort of things and mileage that our guys are taking. And he does a great job of balancing the physicality you have to take, but also having a fresh football team on game day.
What are your memories of playing against Ohio State in a bowl game?
We won. It was a long time. It was a lot of third downs ago.
We were talking to Pop a few minutes ago, and he said that the strength of his defense, they play family ball. What does that mean to you? Like,
family ball?
Family ball.
Well, I think we coach our guys hard, and our guys they receive hard coaching. And I think you can do that if there's a certain connection. And that's a word we talk about in our organization a lot. And I think there's a huge connection because you can be very honest with somebody if there's a connection. Probably not so much if there's not a connection. So I think at the end of the day, these players know we have their best interest, and that's to help them be the best football player they can be, which helps us be the best team we can be at the University of Georgia. And I think that there's a huge buy-in from that. And I think a little of that and me just only being at Georgia for 2 years is built off of last year's team and the belief and the connection we had from a year ago, and that has bled into this season with our players as well.
What is it like Tuesday? Back at Gator Bowl, though, I mean, is there anything that's similar about Ohio State's offense compared to that 2011 offense?
2011 Gator Bowl.
Yeah, well, yeah.
The Gator Bowl.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Citrus Bowl.
Citrus Bowl. Oh, yeah.
No, it was Robert Smith, two-back.
Yeah.
They were only allowed to throw the ball on third down. They're night and day different than what they were then. I mean, it was I formation. They got tricky and got in twins. I mean, it's totally different.
Well, what does Floating Tuesday look like and sound like when you're in the middle?
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. No, we go to team run. That's favorite day of the week, you know, and understanding what we've got to do to win and be successful. And again, that starts with Coach Smart, and you know what you emphasize is what's important, and that's a huge emphasis from the top down.
Well, not a defense question, but I was just going to ask you, as a Georgia guy, what does it mean to you? What does it mean to Georgia to have a guy like Stetson have the career he's had?
Oh, it's great.
And what that means to them.
I was a walk-on, so you it's hard. You know, you don't always get the opportunities. You don't get the same chances. You know, Coach Smart said it during the Heisman Trophy celebration. You know, we kept trying to say he wasn't good enough. Well, he's continued to prove us he is good enough. And so what a great story, you know, as far as persevering through adversity, continuing to handle adversity, and understanding that, you know, there's continuing to work and being told you can't do it multiple times, and now say I'm going to do it, you know, and that says a lot about Stetson and his perseverance.
What are you seeing from the improvements made by Chris Smith? Obviously, the course of his career, but even within just the season.
Well, I think that, you know, huge steps in my time, which has only been the last 2 seasons, but very smart, likes contact, but a guy that really quarterbacks our defense extremely well from the back end. Great ball skills, finishes on the ball well, but is going to needs to have 2 more good games and a good career in the NFL, and I think he will. But I'm a huge Chris Smith fan. The intangible qualities he brings to our team, very, very good.
How much do you think it's helped Malachi playing next to him, and will going forward help Malachi?
Well, I think there's a calming factor involved when you're not totally certain as a safety, and you got a guy standing next to you telling you this is signaling to you or whatever the case may be. And I think Chris has been a calming factor for Malachi.
You said he likes contact. Are there any guys on your team that don't like it?
If they don't like contact, Georgia's not the place for them. I can tell you that.
Coach, you talked about there was Ohio State receivers. As far as Keeley and Kamara go, what's going to be the specific challenges for those 2 guys on this?
Well, there's going to be some 50-50 balls. We got to make some plays on some balls. At the end of the day, that's going to happen. That's who they are offensively. They're going to put you in some situations, and we got to make plays on the ball.
It seems like Ringo is usually in position that maybe he doesn't pick up. Is that a weakness for him, that maybe just picking up the ball?
Well, I think he played the ball really well against Tennessee.
He did?
Yeah.
Certainly.
And I think there's been some opportunities, and it's locating, finding, and finishing on the ball is probably one of the most difficult things you have as a football player. You know, to be able to run with a guy that's probably, these receivers are all probably sub 4.5, maybe 4.3, okay? And you're running down the field with him with a really accurate quarterback, which he could throw a back shoulder ball, or he could throw it over the top. He could drift you inside. He could underthrow the ball, which sometimes purposely the deep ball, and underthrown deep ball is probably the hardest deep ball to play. So you think about all those characteristics, it's one of the most difficult things you got to do in football. And you know, Keeley's made a bunch of plays on the ball, and we expect for him to play extremely well again Saturday.
Let me ask you about 2000. You were the head coach at Florida. Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was referring to.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about a Citrus Bowl.
Yeah. Obviously, Urban had been named the head coach. We had to start it. But
yeah, Luke Fickell was the interim head coach.
Is it amazing, though, the difference in this offense that you're prepping for this year compared to that one? You understand? I mean,
a lot different. Again, there's a lot of third downs ago.
Yeah.
You caught me off guard there. Yeah, they were different. Ryan Days obviously wasn't there then, and has done Ryan's done an outstanding job. Kevin Wilson, a guy I've known for a long time. I know he took the job at Tulsa, but obviously he's working this game and is a really good football coach. Really was one of the tempo guys all starting it out, coming out of Northwestern, and that family tree of coaches. Did a great job at Oklahoma, and obviously has done a fantastic job at Ohio State.
Well, you talked about Malachi earlier. I want to ask about two other freshmen, Jalen Walker and Michael. Just how much growth have you seen, and how important really have all three of those freshmen been on this season?
Well, I think that the closer your position moves to the ball as a young player, the harder it is for you to play. Because if you're a defensive back, a lot of time your instincts can take over. You can be able to read and locate a receiver, play man-to-man, have zone instincts, whatever the case may be. That's kind of inbred with what you do. But playing close to the ball like Michael's doing is very difficult because it's a faster game. It's bigger bodies. It's more complex. Everybody's at least as big or stronger than you are. And so it's very hard for a young player to do what Michael's doing. He's played on the edge for us. He's also played inside for us a lot and rushed for us. But tremendous future as a player, a guy that's got a huge upside. Again, very humble, very coachable, takes coaching very well, understands those things you've got to do in order to be successful. Jalen's a guy that we recruited as a linebacker, but was really an edge rusher in high school. Which, right now the hardest thing to project as a college coach is an inside backer. Because most guys that are Jalen siders are playing rush end, because of the offense you favor, which I do the same thing if I was a high school coach. I'm not, criticizing that. But Jalen's got really good pass rush ability. He's helped us on some third downs. But a guy that we really think can be a really good stack backer and off-the-ball backer as he continues to move forward at Georgia.